But there were other participants in the Iowa caucus. We could talk about Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley first. Oh, and probably the last time we have to mention Vivek Ramaswamy's name. I want to get his name correct because I don't want to be this asshole that on purposely gets his name wrong. Like,
I will.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I won't stop you. But he's an idiot. Yeah. But who do you want to touch on first? Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley?
They're the same person to me.
It's a coin flip, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with Ron DeSantis because he came in second.
Yeah. Okay.
And Ron DeSantis was a guy at some point, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when he won the governorship here in Florida by a large margin, won by a huge margin. And in that time frame between the time he won the first time and the time he won the second time, became almost like a cult hero here in Florida. He was I literally saw Ron DeSantis flags here the same way I saw Donald Trump flags. And there was a point where I even heard people like, this guy is easily going to win presidency if he runs. And I had told a few people, I said, this guy has zero chance of winning the presidency. He's awkward and he's weird. And they were like, no, you're awkward and weird. And I said, no, that's definitely not true. But I think, I don't know if I can prove that I'm not awkward and weird, but we can definitely prove at this point now that Ron DeSantis is, because this guy, the fall from grace.
Yeah.
He was all over the place. I mean, literally people were praising him. The New York Times or one of these big publications, how he won COVID and how he was this and how he's a take control kind of guy. Then he had to show his true colors out on the campaign trail. And it was an absolute embarrassing disaster.
Correct. I saw him on the campaign trail over the summer. Maybe I told you the story, maybe you saw it. And he bent down to talk to this little boy who was eating a slushie.
Yeah.
Because it was like record heat wave.
Yeah.
He's like, what you eating? And the little boy goes, a slushie.
Trying to relate.
Yeah. And Rod goes, there's a lot of sugar in that.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah. I'm getting sugar shamed by this awkward nerd.
I didn't
running for president.
I heard on the news something about, oh my gosh, like Ron DeSantis, when he went to Iowa, he did better in certain districts before he went to visit. And after he went to visit and then they took the polls, he went down in the polls in those same districts after they met him.
Yeah. And, it's just so weird because Ron DeSantis was a Donald Trump fanboy. Like he, licked the boots of this guy for years. And then he decided he was going to run against him. Now, I don't know if there was any strategist that came to him and said, you understand that if you run against him, he's not going to like you anymore. Do you understand this?
That, I'm sorry. It's like the wash.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. But he went through it anyway. And the fact that he decided he was going to run for president, knowing Donald Trump was running as well, and literally said nothing bad to him until maybe the very end, he started getting a little bit into it. And the irony is that Ron DeSantis, after this was over, in fact, let me see if there's an exact quote, but what did he say? Oh, damn it. Here it is. The Florida governor's campaign staff and allies spent much of the night furiously attacking the media for calling the race for Trump before some caucus goers had even cast their votes. This is a quote. What's that?
Before they put their vote in the bag.
Before they put their vote in the bag. A quote from Ron DeSantis: "The media is in the tank for Trump, and this is the most egregious example yet." So he's basically calling election interference on this when he loses. All these guys, when they can't handle it. And by the way, Ron, you had no chance going into this. What are you?
Right. You're too far behind. It's not like you lost by a few. It's like, come on, Ron.
Yeah. It was sad and pathetic. And I do have a clip that,
nice.
Listen, it's hilarious. There's a couple ways to think about this. What do you think about when somebody running for office is being heckled or is being interrupted by somebody that is an opposing voter? What's your thought on that?
Wait, Joe Manchin or Ron DeSantis are we talking about?
Anybody. If you saw any elected or somebody running for office
being heckled by the
being
opponent?
heckled, or what's your thought on it? Do you think, nah, I'm not a big fan, or
I think it's hilarious. I'd love to see how they handle it. I think it's funny.
Well, I will say this. I personally would never have wanted our politics to get here, but since they drug us down into the mud, I'm fine with it. I'm completely fine with it. And there's these two gentlemen called the Good Liars. Have you seen these guys?
No.
Oh my gosh. Follow them on Twitter or wherever, because they're fucking hilarious. They go into every one of these sort of primaries and everything and just disrupt. Ron DeSantis and Casey were interrupted the other day as they were given a speech before the primary by one of the guys from the Good Liars, and he wanted to present them with an award. Now, one thing I don't like the fact that these people can just out of nowhere come up to these candidates, because that's pretty dangerous. That's one thing that I would say that I'm not a big fan of. But since this happened, and of course there was no violence that happened, this is pretty fucking funny.
Real quick before we get started, thank you everyone. Governor DeSantis, I want to present to you this participation trophy. Now, probably not going to win the election, right? But we're proud of you for trying. There you go. I mean, sorry, buddy. He's special. He's unique.
Look at his wife is like trying to block him.
Right.
Do you want the award?
He called him our special little snowflake.
And it's so fun. I love how at first they don't know there's shade coming, and they just like, you can't wait to get the award, and then it's like, oh, you see Casey's face change, and then she tries to separate. I'm like, wait, Casey about to get in front of that dude for her man. Wow, she wear the pants for real. I thought you were going to show me Joe Manchin's clip.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, Joe Manchin had some type of press conference, and I don't know what it was. He was speaking, and then all of a sudden, they started heckling him. The people he was talking in front of, maybe he thought they were Joe Manchin friendly, and they started saying something about Joe Manchin's coal. I don't know. It's like coal and fuel, that shit. Like they just kept chanting that shit. He had to leave. Yeah. Like they wouldn't stop.
Well, again, this is the kind of politics they drug us down into. And there's a few other clips I'm going to play later that are just beautiful. These are Democrats fighting back, which is just, I mean, I'm talking, it is as good as it gets. But, you know, that's the kind of shit that a Ron DeSantis deserves, because he's just a piece of shit human being. He's an awful human being. He says terrible things. He wants terrible things to happen. And he's just a terrible human being. And watching him get trolled, him and his goofy wife, is, to me,
she didn't have gloves on.